It is Tuesday night, September 27th, 2022. Another brand new episode of the Boiler Breakdown podcast, streaming live on the Boiler Breakdown Facebook page, Twitter page, and YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, do all that good stuff if you haven't already. No Evan Webb here tonight, but myself, Tanner Lee, and one of my other co-hosts, Andrew Eiler, got you covered. Andrew, what's going on?
Not much. How you doing, Tan?
Doing all right. Got a Purdue win over the weekend. It wasn't a comfortable win, but it beats the opposite.
Yeah. I don't know. We were talking briefly before this, and I at Saturday night after this game, I did not feel too good.
I think a lot of people viewed this game as, wow, I've never had a victory feel so much like a loss, which is easy to feel that way, but I just, jokingly after the game, I said, knew it all along.
Except if you go back to our predictions, again, of course, we didn't know that Aiden O'Connell would not be playing at that time, but I think we all predicted pretty large victories.
Yeah, I think we did, last week's episode on, what was it, on Thursday?
Thursday. And then the news broke like that.
Broke.
Not even really – it didn't really break. There were rumors. It didn't really come out until like Saturday morning when it was like official that he's like actually questionable. But there were rumors Thursday night, Friday that he was questionable.
And a lot of times when the rumors start on message boards, you kind of just push them to the side. But then when a gold and black writer actually kind of says where there's smoke, there's fire, it's like, oh boy. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thad Mooney says that was a victory. Burn all tapes.
I think you were Evan. I don't know. Texted that was it. Kind of almost felt like the Ricardo Allen, Daryl Hazel. Was that Indiana State?
Yep, back in 2013 when he needed.
Almost felt like that. A pick to kind of prevent them from scoring in the end to win. Yeah. Not quite that, but I mean, kind of. I mean, they had the ball down 2. And the defense got the stop, but yeah. I don't know.
And the thing is, this, Florida Atlantic's had some good teams in the past with Lane Kiffin and some other guys, but this is a Florida Atlantic team that got smashed just the week prior to Central Florida 40-14, lost by 3 to Ohio. And it comes down to the final wire. It just, I don't know, kind of unsettling, but there was some positives to take away from it too. We can get into those in a little bit, but
let's be more positive. We're pretty negative after the Syracuse game, and I think we're already starting off pretty negative here.
Well, and I think, and that was another thing Evan and I were talking about, was I guess the coaches were saying they had a tough time getting the guys up this past week in practice after that Syracuse game. So
I didn't hear that. I don't know.
Hopefully a win gets them going a little bit, but I thought it was going to be an interesting game going in. We saw the line move from like 21-22-ish down to 16 and a half, 17, no matter what book you're looking at. And that was the news that Aiden O'Connell was out with what I believe is a rib injury. They never really said what it was.
No, and I think I heard on Monday at Brahms' press conference, he said he wouldn't reveal for his safety, which makes, I don't know. I get that, but
Jeff never gives a lot of injury report, he probably shouldn't for the opposition. We've had Purdue coaches in the past that have just thrown everything out there to the opponents. It's like, what are you doing here? but Jeff actually said in his Monday press conference that Aiden actually got injured the first quarter of the Syracuse game.
Mm-hmm.
So he toughed it out that whole Syracuse game.
Yeah,
and even a little bit in practice last week.
And I think he even kind of acknowledged a super tough guy, and then he also said adrenaline. Didn't realize how hurt he was until after the game. A couple hours later, you kind of calm down and you realize, man, I'm pretty sore.
So going into the game, everybody's like, all right, so are they going to roll with sixth-year senior Austin Burton, who's never started at Purdue, but he has one college start under his belt. That was at UCLA, or are they going to go with the redshirt sophomore, unexperienced Michael Alimo? And the answer was Austin Burton, even though we did see a series of action from Alimo. I thought Burton played all right. I thought he did well with what he was asked. He made one big mistake, which was a really bad interception when Purdue was going in to take a 2-score lead. But besides that, I thought he managed the offense pretty well. Just a whole different skill set he has than O'Connell.
I know we were talking. I was kind of off and on the first half, being able to see much, but was following along. It's definitely fine. I mean, managed the game, like we said. Other than that one pick in the fourth quarter, I think that ill-advised throw. But I was surprised he didn't. At least from what I remember, he didn't run it as much as I would have expected. I know he made some plays a little bit, but I guess, 8 carries for 15 yards, but I don't know. I thought there would have been, and it was along a 10. I would have thought there would have been a little more designed run or kind of, but I guess they're having so much. I mean, Dylan Downing and Devin Mockabee were kind of getting 6 to 8 yards. It seemed like kind of at will, so they didn't really need to do as much QB designed run to kind of get the run game going. But I think he did fine. I thought we'd see Alima a little more than just that one series.
Yeah, Alima was 1 for 2 for 0 yards. Bird was 21 for 29 for 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 2 of those touchdowns were to his roommate, Charlie Jones, who had his worst game as a Boilermaker, but still a very good game. 9 catches for 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. TJ Sheffield was the other one who called in the touchdown. He had 2 receptions for 22 yards. But it was nice to see Mockabee get into the receiving category. 4 catches for 59 yards. Most of that yardage was on a wheel route. But he also had 6 carries for 37 yards. And like you said, Dylan Downing had 15 carries for 113 yards and a touchdown.
That was what was a pleasant surprise, I guess, to see that second half where Purdue was able to get 5 yards. Like, no matter, they're just big holes, and it was okay. They weren't getting touched until they were 4 yards down, at least 4 or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, which was new. Haven't seen that in a few years.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this was probably Purdue's best attack on the ground since probably the 2019 Bucket game.
Which is that? I mean, okay. So like all we've talked about. Okay, Burton played pretty well, managed the game. Purdue ran the ball well, yet still needed a 4th down fumble in the fourth quarter with a minute left to beat Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, I know. It was. I came out of the game more concerned about the defense than I was the offense. The defense just poor tackling once again. It almost looks like some of the guys are flying around too aggressively at times with their pursuit angles, and they're just running past the ball carriers. Another stupid personal foul penalty. I mean, we only got 1, but it's bad when I'm sitting here on a podcast saying, hey, we only got 1 personal foul this game.
I will say I saw that one. It was bad, but it also was semi bang bang. Like, I think it was a bad pass that the receiver had it, kind of dropped it, and I think the guy I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say, like, is it a fumble? Did he hear the whistle? Who knows? I mean, benefit of the doubt. Like, that one was not nearly as bad as of the other personal fouls.
You're right.
3 games.
You're right. But it could really cost Purdue. That's what I'm saying. The timing of it was just
I don't
down.
Remember. Was it third down? I don't remember.
Think it was
about to be a stop, yeah. And then they did score. I mean, I think they scored like 5 plays later. Like, then they kind of gouged the defense and marched down the field pretty easily after that. If I remember, it was like
It was just the defense, and I know they're missing some guys. I mean, Purdue in total right now they were missing quite a few starters on Saturday, but that's still really no excuse. Florida Atlantic's quarterback, Nkosi Perry, who I believe played at Miami, Florida before transferring to Florida Atlantic. He was 18 for 30 for 230 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, which was intercepted by Chris Jefferson, which was a big play in the game. He also had 13 carries for 93 yards.
Which is, I mean, back-to-back weeks of quarterback. I don't know the Syracuse. I can't. I've already forgotten about them.
Yep.
I hate that guy's name, but I know he carried the ball like 18 times, and I don't think he got like a ton of yards per carry, but it was like he got close to 100 yards, I think. So back-to-back weeks of QBs kind of doing more of the damage. So I mean, again, containing the running backs. I mean, their starting running back Larry McCammon, 16 carries, 45 yards. I mean, pretty comparable to, according to Syracuse, All-American Heisman candidate Tucker, who had like 40 yards too. So,
I thought Jefferson had a good game. I thought Wahlberg. I thought he was a player of the game on defense, not only for his forced fumble at the end, but he tipped the pass that got intercepted by Chris Jefferson earlier in the fourth quarter. He had 7 tackles, led all Boiler defenders in tackles. which is nice to see. Nice to see him out there, redshirt junior. Besides that, I didn't really think anybody stood out on defense. It was concerning to see the lack of pass rush. No sacks.
Yep.
No sacks against
two tackles for loss.
Against I think they're in the Conference USA.
Yeah, Conference USA.
Conference USA offensive line, and now you're going to go against Big Ten offensive lines the rest of the way home. A huge offensive line coming up this weekend in Minnesota. That's concerning. I mean, we all knew the pass rush was going to take a step back, losing George Karlaftis, who not only was just an absolute stud, but he helped other guys benefit from him taking on the double and triple teams. But I didn't think it would regress this bad.
Yeah, I mean, we knew, you don't have the star power, but they've always talked, Mark Hagan and the whole defensive staff have talked about the depth. And I know that took a hit with Dijon Lewis. I don't remember how to say his first name, but he got hurt, broke his ankle 2 weeks before week 1 or something. So that was but it was also something that they could absorb that. But some of the other guys, Lawrence Johnson, I don't even know if we've said his name on the show for the first 3 weeks.
Not much.
I know he had. I just looked him up. I was like, "Does he play?" 4 tackles.
Yeah.
But so he's there and he's fine. I'm sure he's fine, but just not making the noticeable big play, which is not always a bad thing.
Right.
But
right. Well, and our defensive backs just didn't have a very good game. Besides Chris Jefferson, who had the pick, but a lot of the other guys are getting beat. Even Trice got beat on a couple plays. Kim Allen got beat. Guys that don't normally get beat too much were getting beat over the top.
It seemed like the last couple games. Penn State and then throw out the second week, but against Syracuse, it seems like the cornerbacks have kind of been a little bit of a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly that last play of the Syracuse game where I know Bryce Hampton on an island, but just got burned. But
yep.
I kind of same thing. The second half here. Some wide open receivers.
Yep. So that wasn't good. And I know I'll get to some positives. We've been kind of hit on a few, but another negative was Mitchell Finneran right now just can't find it. It looks like he's lost his confidence. I couldn't tell if his 47-yard attempt got tipped or not, but either way it was a miss, short. I think Braum even said Monday in his press conference, got to give him some more live action during practice. So.
Yeah, I think he commented that he's not hitting it super solid right now. I couldn't tell if it was definitely wobbling. If he like he said, either did hit solid or it was someone got a finger on it. I don't know. But
on the flip side, I thought Jack Ansel punted it well. So
he had like a 70-yarder in there.
Yeah, he
other than his last punt when Purdue gave the ball back that he hit a 50-yarder when he only needed to hit it 30 yards.
Right, yeah. Right. He did hit that boomer you were talking about at one point.
Yeah.
So that was a positive. I do like that they finally stopped having Charlie Jones return kicks and put Deion Burks back there. Thought Burks showed some good acceleration because Jones started the game returning kicks, but
yeah, I thought he had one, didn't he?
He
hit a long punt.
Yeah, he had 3 punt returns. He took a big hit on a kick return. I think they're like, okay, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. It's kind of like Rondell when they finally moved him off of returns because he's too valuable. You can't have him out there getting banged up on a kick return.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I would like to see the ball get spread around a little more. Marshawn Rice didn't get a single target the other day. Most of it was Charlie Jones, of course, but Sheffield a little bit. Maccabee was second with 4 catches on the team.
Payne Durham had 4 catches as well. But it was hard. So, like you said, Burton was fine, but it was all short. He did throw – there was one deep ball that they had. I don't remember if it was Burks or who it was. It was single coverage.
To Charlie Jones, I think.
Maybe it was Charlie Jones I don't remember when it was. But it was one that was like finally – but the ZB had great coverage, and there was no chance other than Jones making some spectacular catch. But I was like, at least they threw it deep.
Right.
That's just that the offense misses without O'Connell. Clearly, is that they just don't have that intermediate to deep passing game. With everything with Burton was underneath short throws, which is fine. But I think we've seen that with Purdue struggled over the quarterbacks for the years, especially, and then when you're now getting into October when Purdue is not a strong running team, everybody knows that. If Purdue does not have O'Connell, then the field becomes very condensed, and then Purdue's offense is going to really struggle.
When Alimo came in, the first thing he did was try to throw deep, but I don't even remember who he attempted his pass to. He locked in on him right away, and his eyes didn't leave him. So.
That's why I thought we'd see Alimo more, was that he could have that better deep ball.
Yeah.
But then Burton threw a couple. I mean, that one, and I don't know if he had another one or not, but 21 completions for 166 yards is
pretty
not
conservative.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty conservative, but it's a backup making his first start at school. I mean, I didn't expect a ton. No word on O'Connell yet this week. It was reported today by Tom Deanhurt that he was in uniform at the end of practice today. So take that for what it's worth. That seems like a good sign on a Tuesday, I would say.
Even when I know it was just rumors by people on the board that didn't have any, they were saying questionable for Saturday. This was Thursday before anything really came out, even officially. They said questionable for Thursday or for this as Friday, Saturday, whatever. But should be good to go the following week, which
right.
Again, is what I kind of were hoping with Graham and King Doru and O'Connell. It's like, okay, like if they're questionable for Florida Atlantic, Purdue shouldn't need them.
Almost did.
Yeah. I almost was like, oh, can like O'Connell play like the first half and Purdue can get up by 14 and then coast? I don't know. But
and the whole time when Florida Atlantic had the ball at the end, I'm like, they're going to end up kicking a field goal to win this game. I've seen it too many times. Thankfully, I was wrong. But
yeah.
Purdue didn't make it easy on themselves, even at the very end, trying to kneel to win the game. They fumbled.
Oh, my
Thank goodness he fell on it.
Had you ever seen that? I kind of forgot about that until you said that. I've never seen a fumble on a kneel.
I mean, the only other time is the classic NFL highlight when the Giants did it against the Eagles and Herm Edwards picked it up and ran it in. But that's the only other time I've never seen it live.
No, I've never seen one live.
Oh,
God. And then when we were watching, Isabel and I were watching the end of the Packers Buccaneers game Sunday, and she's like, oh, they're victory formation, like kneeling. I was like, I mean, Purdue about lost one last 24 hours ago doing this.
Yeah. You had an interesting week as a Purdue and Packers fan. I had an interesting week as a Purdue and Broncos fan. So, 2-1s. You're like, all right, burn the tape, never talk about it again. But a win's a win, I guess. So, but now Purdue goes on the road to open up. Well, they already opened up Big Ten play week 1, but to open up Big Ten play the rest of the way out against a team that's red hot, the 4-0 Minnesota Golden Gophers. They look like the cream of the crop for the West as of right now. They're ranked in the top 25, ranked 21. This series has not been kind to Purdue. Minnesota's won 8 of the last 9, including 4 out of the last 5 years when PJ Fleck's been head-to-head with Jeff Brom. They've mostly been close games. Last year's game was 20-13 Minnesota. Year before, 34-31 Minnesota. Year before that, 38-31 Minnesota. 2018 was a bloodbath, 41-10. And then 17, Brom's first year after a storm delay. Purdue did pull that one out with a late Juwan Bentley pick 6, 31-17. But it's just interesting because this was a series Joe Tiller absolutely dominated in his time at Purdue. But ever since then, Minnesota's had the upper hand, and Purdue's never won at this stadium. That opened up in 2009.
Yeah, and I don't know. I hate watching this game. I hate when they show PJ Fleck, and it just sucks that he's kind of owned Purdue in his 5+ years now, 6 years at Minnesota.
It does. He's annoying. He's a good football coach. I don't think any of us can dispute that at this point.
I will say at least his shtick at least has appeared to either calm down or nobody cares and nobody covers it anymore like they did 5 years ago. I haven't heard anything about row the boat for a long time.
And is it just me, or did that guy had some kind of off-season work? He doesn't look like the same person.
I kind of avoid PJ Fleck, so I don't know if I still picture what he looked like 5 years ago, I guess.
He doesn't. I don't know. I mean, if he didn't, I apologize, but I definitely think he had something done.
You're gonna get a letter in the mail, Tanner. You're being sued.
That's all right.
PJ Fleck.
Bring it on there, PJ. I've said things worse about him. So, but the Golden Gophers are rolling. Vegas is loving them right now. I think what's the line? 12.5.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's 12.5. Yeah.
I wonder how much it would drop if
O'Connell
the news comes out that
plays,
O'Connell's playing. I don't know, maybe a couple points, but
yeah, I don't know. Especially, after Minnesota rolling. What did it open? It did not open at 12.5.
No,
I
it
it
didn't.
opened at
It opened
8
at,
or something.
it did, but then it jumped in a day up there. So
I bet with O'Connell, a touchdown is what I think it should be, or something like that. And I mean, with Purdue struggling with Florida Atlantic without O'Connell, I mean that's where I said without, like, before we got on, if without O'Connell, I don't know if I'll watch this game.
Well, really, I mean, O'Connell's definitely Purdue's main player. They can't not have out there. He's their best player. But on defense, Jalen Graham's their best player, and they've been playing without him, so they really need both guys back. But I even with Aiden, I don't feel that good about this game. But I feel a lot better, of course.
Yeah.
Defensively, Tanner Morgan's not going to run the ball like the last two quarterbacks, but he has carved Purdue up. Back in 2019, I think he threw one incompletion against them. Last week against Michigan State, he only had 2 or 3 incompletions. So he's starting to get in his groove again.
Yeah. How would you compare Tanner Morgan to Sean Clifford?
Very similar. I would say Tanner Morgan is in a little more of a groove right now, but very similar careers, very up and down careers.
That's kind of what, and they've been there forever.
Yes.
That's kind of what, which is also like, I know more. I don't know, was it 2 years ago that Tanner Morgan, because he had been there forever, and he's going to have a great year, and then he kind of flopped.
Yeah, and last year too.
And with Clifford,
they were hyped up and they didn't do much. Of course, he has his great running back, Ibrahim, back off Achilles tear he did week 1 against Ohio State last year. Doesn't have his favorite target, Chris Ottenbell's out for the year. Got hurt 2 weeks ago, but like I said, that didn't matter up in East Lansing. I mean, I thought Michigan State was going to win a close one there, and Minnesota was favored. I'm like, why is Minnesota favored? They go in and just smoked them.
34-7, yeah.
Which it could be, maybe Michigan State's not that good. Maybe we'll find out more about them when they go to Maryland this weekend. But because, I don't like Minnesota. You don't like Minnesota. Evan doesn't like Minnesota. A lot of people don't like Minnesota. I didn't want to give them the benefit of the doubt going in last week. I kept saying, well, they haven't played anybody. Well, then they played an opponent that the last few years has been pretty good up on the road and shellacked them. So I'm like, okay, maybe they are pretty good. So it'll be an interesting one. It's a noon game. ESPN 2. Purdue's got back-to-back noon ESPN 2 games next week against Maryland, I believe, is also noon. ESPN 2. The Syracuse game was noon, so they like the road noon games all of a sudden. No idea on the uniform combination. I mean, white jerseys, but no idea if they're going to be gold or black helmets, gold or black pants. But I'm not looking forward to this one.
I don't know. I think with O'Connell, I'm pretty optimistic O'Connell plays, just because it didn't seem like it was all that serious. But then again, I don't know. It seems like with under Braum, with the 6 years, that there's always like, oh, maybe next week, like Lorenzo Neal. Maybe next week. Maybe he'll be ready to play. Maybe he'll be ready to play. Actually, he's done for the year.
I forgot about that.
Rondell Moore, maybe next week. Maybe not this week. Not this week. Next week.
Yeah.
He's actually done for the year.
Yeah. Yep. Rondell Moore is doing that to my fantasy team right now in the pros. So,
which I get. I know we said that. We get that with Braum playing it close to the chest, but still, like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of like, if he's gonna be done, like, just get it out there and be done and move on, and then quit talking about it. But I don't know.
I don't know. It's if O'Connell plays, I think Purdue can definitely hang in there. And would it shock me if Purdue wins? No, because Jeff Brom's team is good about doing that, especially on the road. They seem to play better on the road than they do at home for some reason. So we've seen them do it. We've seen them upset top 25 teams. So it wouldn't shock me, but just the way Purdue played on Saturday. And really it has played so far this year. That's what's got me not feeling too optimistic.
Yeah. I just think with O'Connell, Purdue could have the possibility of scoring 40 points. And, Purdue's defense could give up 50 points. But
Purdue needs
at least with 40, they should be in it.
They need to jump on them early. I think if Minnesota gets on Purdue early, then they're just going to try to bleed it out with their running game, because they'll probably pop off some big runs. If Purdue could establish any sort of run game, that could go a long ways. But Minnesota's different than Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
Because their defense has been playing well. So.
Yeah. The only thing I can picture, that I think about with Minnesota, is their offensive line, because I know the last couple of years they had that. I think that guy's in the NFL now. They're whatever, left tackle or left guard that was 370 pounds or something.
Yeah, Purdue's gonna have to get some turnovers. They're definitely gonna have to get pressure on Tanner Morgan. I mean, if they don't get a pass rush or if they have a pass rush similar to Florida Atlantic, which was non-existent, he'll just sit that back there and pick them apart. So, yep, gotta be an interesting one for sure. Well, you want to pick some games around the Big Ten, around the country?
Sure.
All right. Before we do that, let's give a read to one of our sponsors here. Let's see here. That would be Mad Mushroom, who's back with our podcast for another year. They've been on our board, I think, 3 years now, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe just 2 years, but I think 3 years. Anyways, when you go to Mad Mushroom, who is in the heart and soul of Purdue, serving Boilermakers since 1993. They're known as the home of the original cheese stick, but of course, whenever I like to go, I like to sit down and have an ice-cold beer while trying out their latest pizza of the month, which you can only take advantage of the rest of this week. The pizza of the month is Josh's Tasty Meatballs. It's their traditional pizza sauce topped with meatballs, onions, banana peppers, mozzarella cheese, and finished with a hot sauce drizzle, served with a side of ranch, and that is starting at $14. So get 2 of those bad boys. That would put your order over $20. Then you can just tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you, or if you're ordering online, you can use the coupon code BREAK5. That's all caps, BREAK5, for $5 off any order over $20. If you only want one pizza, just get one and make sure to get some cheese sticks. Gotta get some cheese sticks. That is a must. But like I said, just if you're in person, tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you, or if you're ordering online, use discount code BREAK5. That'll get you $5 off any order over $20. That's Mad Mushroom, online at madmushroom.com. Feed your head. We're thankful to have them back on board this year. Great people, great food. All right, Andrew, Big Ten games around the country. Illinois at Wisconsin. Who would have guessed that Wisconsin was going to have 2 losses already 4 weeks into the season? But here we are. Illinois is sitting with a 3-1 record on the road. Wisconsin's 7-point favorite. Who do you like?
I think this is hopefully, I don't know. I think because of our friend Josh, I'm kind of rooting pretty hard against Illinois for pretty much everything now, which is kind of hard to say, even though I don't particularly like Wisconsin either. But I kind of hope Wisconsin just blows them out. I don't know why. I
think Wisconsin wins by about 10 to 13 points.
Yeah.
It would be a huge win for Bielema, not only for himself, but for his program if they could go up to Camp Randall and get one. But I think Wisconsin's going to be angry. I mean, they not only got beat at the Horseshoe, they got smashed.
Yeah, which was not surprising.
No, everybody does. But
yeah, like Ohio State is just its own class in the Big Ten, so not surprising.
That doesn't happen often to Wisconsin, I guess what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Then we got number 4, Michigan, traveling to Kinnick to face a 3-1 Iowa Hawkeyes, who actually decided to score a few points against Rutgers over the weekend.
The defense did still have a scoop and score.
You're right.
And I think the defense still scored several.
You're right. They helped out Spencer Petras big time. Yeah. But Iowa has won 5 of their last 6 home matchups against AP top 5 ranked teams. That includes Michigan last time they went to Kinnick back in 2016. But I think this Michigan offense is too high-powered. They're 11-point favorites. I think they cover that at Iowa.
Yeah, I think they do too. I don't think the Iowa offense scores more than like 7 points.
Yeah.
So I think the final. I think 11 is going to be pretty close. I think it's going to be like 24-10 or something. I think it's going to be 24 to 10 or 21-10, something like that.
Then we have the putrid 1-3 Northwestern Wildcats. Them and Colorado are probably the worst 2 Power 5 teams out there. Can't put Kansas in that mix anymore. They're sitting 4-0, just outside the top 25. If they were named anybody else except Kansas, they probably would be in the top 25. They travel to take on the number 11 ranked 4-0 Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State is a 27-point favorite, and I think they cover. That's how bad I think Northwestern is.
1-0 in the Big Ten Northwestern, though.
Yeah, they beat Nebraska. Not on home soil. On home soil, they can't win. They can't beat Duke. They can't beat Southern Illinois. And they can't beat Miami, Ohio. All at home.
Yeah, I think Penn State covers that.
Yeah, it's gonna be ugly for Pat Fitzgerald.
Just keeps getting worse. Gets worse and worse for the Big Ten West.
It's not pretty. 2-2 Michigan State, 2 losses in a row to Washington and to Minnesota. They travel to 3-1 Maryland, who is a 7.5-point favorite.
It seems like a lot. Do you think that's like kind of what you said? Maybe Michigan State isn't as good as we were expecting. You think that's kind of an overreaction? Is Michigan State?
I do. I think.
Or are they really not that good?
I think it's a little bit of both. But I just have a feeling Michigan State's got to rebound and bounce back and win this one. I don't know why. Maybe I'm not buying into Maryland. I should. They're very speedy. But Michigan State's lost 2 in a row. They should be angry. If they lose 3 in a row, watch out. It could be a long season for Mel Tucker up there.
Yeah, I think Maryland gets this one, but I don't think they cover that. I think it's a pretty close game and comes down to the final drive. I think they get them in the 4th.
We got 3-1 Rutgers, who, like I said earlier, got handed their first loss of the season at hands to the Iowa Hawkeyes, traveling to 4-0, number 3 in the country, but could be asterisk because I really think they're playing like number 1 right now. Ohio State, who is a 40.5-point favorite.
That seems like that's so much to cover.
I know. I think Ohio State drills them and is beating them by that much at one time, but then they put the backups in and milk it a little bit.
Yeah,
so I think Rutgers covers that.
Yeah, same. 40 is so much to win a conference game by. Like
that's
you said.
crazy.
But I don't know. They're number 3 in the country. They need to keep. They're not gonna lay it up, and they're gonna win by 60. I don't know.
Look at Georgia. They were 45-point favorites over Kent State and won by 17. So.
Yeah.
Then we got the night game of the Big Ten this week. 3-1 Indiana, who was handed their first loss of the season to Cincinnati. At 1-3 Nebraska, but Nebraska's a 5.5-point favorite in this one.
That's shocking.
I think Nebraska gets it done. I think they get it done coming off a bye week, an extra week of prep for the Hoosiers. I think Nebraska gets it done.
And they cover?
Yeah, they'll win by 7-10, so I think they cover.
I'd go for that. I'd be happy with that.
I know a few people that I've been talking to that like Indiana. They don't think Indiana's going to win another game, so we'll see. I don't know.
That'd be okay with me.
I don't really like either one of those teams. Well, I definitely don't like one or the other one.
Does it make you feel any different that Frost isn't there with Nebraska? I don't care. I'm indifferent to Nebraska now.
Oh, I mean, we do have a friend that's a Nebraska fan, but I know 2 Nebraska fans that are good people. But besides that, I like to see their fans whine, so it's fine.
I only know one Nebraska fan, and he's fine. So.
Got some top 25 games. Some are really bad games. Some are pretty good games. We got a Friday night matchup. 4-0, number 15 Washington travels to play future Big Ten member 4-0 UCLA, Chip Kelly. And Washington's a 3-point favorite.
At the Rose Bowl, former IU Hoosier Michael Penix Jr. slinging it.
He is looking good.
Yeah, I think Washington gets it done.
I do too. Rose Bowl is not a hostile environment whatsoever. Nobody goes to those games. So.
Especially Friday night in LA.
Yeah. There's a lot of other things
to do, yeah.
Number 18, 3-1 Oklahoma, coming off to an upset loss at the hands of Kansas State. They travel to play 3-0 TCU. Oklahoma is a 6.5-point favorite.
I know nothing about TCU.
Sonny Dykes is their coach.
Yeah. Was he the coach when Purdue played TCU?
No, that was Gary Patterson. And he finally retired or quit or resigned after forever last year's.
I think Oklahoma covers that.
I do too. Texas Tech coming off a big double overtime win against Texas. 3-1 travels to number 25, newly ranked Kansas State 3-1. Adrian Martinez leading the show there for the Wildcats.
Seems like he's been around forever too.
He has. K-State's an 8-point favorite.
I'm gonna go with the upset there. I think Texas Tech keeps rolling.
I'll take K-State. I took the Texas Tech over Texas last week, but I'll take K-State in this one.
Okay.
I like what they're doing. Fun game here. 4-0, number 7th ranked Kentucky kind of had a tough time against Northern Illinois. At number 14, 4-0, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 6.5-point favorite.
I don't know. I mean, I guess 6.5 seems like a lot. I know in Mississippi, but I'll take Kentucky.
I'll take the Rebels here. I'll take Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, but should be a good one. Oregon State almost had USC, but USC handed them their first loss of the year. 3-1 travels to number 12. 3-1 Utah. Utah's a 10.5-point favorite. I like the Utes, but I think Oregon State covers that.
You think they cover? You've been the biggest Utes fan I know, Tanner, for 2 years.
Well, I had them in my playoff this year. Week 1, they go down to Gainesville and lose. I'm like, well, thanks for nothing. So I really like their coach. I think he does a great job out there.
I think Utah covers that. And
good one in ACC country, 3-1, number 22 Wake Forest, who got beaten overtime by Clemson, 51-45. They travel to 4-0, number 23 Florida State, who is a 7-point favorite.
Let's go with Wake. Give me the Demon Deacons.
All right, I'll take the Seminoles. I think they're getting close to being back.
Yeah,
getting close to being back. Too much
not
talent.
Taking not a Brad Lambert fan.
Oh, I am. I mean, I still wish he was with Purdue, but I hope he does well.
Yeah.
I saw somebody on the board giving, we want the guy who gave up 51 points to Clemson. I'm like, Clemson does that to a lot of people. So what are you talking about?
I don't know. Not recently though.
Not 51,
DJ,
maybe, but
I don't know. DJ.
Ukulele or whatever.
Yeah, friends that are Clemson fans, and so watched a few Clemson games the last couple of years, and he is a freak athlete, but struggles to throw a little bit. So I mean, I know he's like 6'5", like 250 pounds, and runs like a 4.5, but
good one in Big 12 country. 3-0, number 9 Oklahoma State travels in 3-1, number 16 Baylor, who is a 2.5-point favorite. I like the Cowboys in this one.
Yeah. Sure. No, I'm going to go Baylor. I'm at home. I'll go the opposite for you. I'll get Baylor. I think they cover that. I think they win by 3 or 4. Yeah, they cover that.
Number 2, 4-0 Alabama travels to Fayetteville to face the number 20 ranked 3-1 Arkansas Razorbacks at a heartbreak of a loss against A&M down Jerry's World. I've never seen a ball hit the top of an upright.
Yeah. I've not. That was so weird.
Weird things happen in college games in that stadium, I swear. Alabama's a 17.5-point favorite, and I think they'll win by 17-20, so right around that spread.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they cover. I think they win that. I think it's more. I think it's 24 plus. Yeah.
We were just talking about A&M. They are ranked 17th, 3-1. They travel to Starkville to face the 3-1 Mississippi State Bulldogs, who are a 3.5-point favorite. You like Mike Leach over Jimbo?
Yeah. I would take Mike Leach over Jimbo in a heartbeat.
I think A&M's got too much talent.
Yeah.
I think they got a wake up call against App State. They've beat the U. They've beat Arkansas. They can beat Mississippi State. That'll be 3 pretty good wins in a row. So
yeah,
I believe this is game day. Number 10 NC State 4-0 travels to number 5 4-0 Clemson. Clemson 6.5-point favorites.
I think they cover that. I think Clemson covers.
I do too. I think NC State's good, but I think Clemson's the cream of the crop in that conference. Number 1, Georgia. Do they cover the 28.5-point spread at 2-2 Missouri?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
How is it only 28?
Probably because they only beat Kent State by 17. So
yeah. I mean, Ohio State Rutgers is what did we say, 40?
Do you think the Herm Edwardless Arizona State Sun Devils can cover a 26-point spread on the road to number 6 4-0 future Big Ten member USC?
Well, I mean, when the assistant coaches aren't giving opposing teams the plays or information, maybe they'll play a little better.
Awful.
Yeah.
I like what Lincoln Riley's doing. I like what Lincoln Riley's doing out there. So
Do you think they cover that? USC?
Yeah, I'll take
26?
USC and the points.
I think it's like 21. I don't think they cover that.
And lastly, the 1-2 Stanford Cardinals. They got the tree as a mascot. Stanford Cardinal at number 13 ranked 3-1 Oregon, who is a 17-point favorite. David Shaw, you should have left for the NFL a long time ago.
I think
Give me
Oregon
the Ducks. Give me the
easy.
Ducks.
Yeah, easy.
Give me the Ducks. All right, we got to circle back around then. We never picked Purdue 2-2 at number 21, 4-0 Minnesota, who is a 12-point favorite as of tonight.
Are you assuming O'Connell? Okay, do you predict O'Connell plays or not?
I do now after reading that he was in uniform. Going into the day, I'm like, nah. I think it's gonna be Burton or Limo, but yeah, I think O'Connell guts it out and plays.
That was my Saturday when he was questionable. I said, okay, he's not going to play. And he wasn't playing. That's fine. He'll be ready for Minnesota. And then after I think Brown's post game, and then Monday was like, it seems pretty questionable. I'm like, that didn't make me feel great. But I think I'm with you. I think he plays.
Yep, I think he plays. I think Minnesota gets it done over Purdue. It's going to be. Probably end up being a close game with something crazy happening because that's what happens in these games.
Maybe something crazy will go right in Purdue's way. No, not unlikely up in Minnesota. Purdue's had some pretty bad luck up there.
That's true.
Not even just in football, but
yeah, definitely in basketball. And Payne Durham said he still has not forgot he thinks about the pass interference. I'm going to say in air quotes all the time. He did not play against Minnesota last year. He was hurt, so. Hopefully he has a big game. Well, I'm going to go Minnesota 27, Purdue 20. I hope I'm wrong.
That's pretty low scoring.
I know. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm with you. I don't feel very good. I don't think Purdue has don't like Purdue's chances in this one. We'll say that. I think it's going to be a little higher scoring. I think it's going to be Minnesota 35, Purdue 28 something. I think Purdue scores a little bit, but then struggles to stop the run and then gets worn down in the second half. But
I hope to be wrong, and I hope this is the start of a memorable October like the Rose Bowl Team 2000 had when they beat Michigan, Northwestern, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. I hope that Purdue can get through this gauntlet of Minnesota, Maryland, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. They could get
1 and 2 and 2? What would you take? What would you at this point right now with seeing how Purdue is 2 and 2 at this point?
I would take 2 and 2 at the worst. I think you gotta be 2 and 2 if you want to make a bowl. But
would you? Yeah.
If they went 3 and 1, I'd be pretty darn happy.
Yeah.
Because if they go 3 and 1, I think they could run the tables in November, and then end up with a 9 and 3 season. Maybe. So, see, I'm already talking myself into it. I'm already.
I know.
I keep, and I know Wisconsin lost to Ohio State, and the Washington State team was playing really well, almost had Oregon, but I keep thinking maybe this is the year you get Wisconsin. I know it's up there though. But they got 3 of the next 4 on the road. It's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet.
And maybe it's the recency bias of how bad Purdue played 2 weeks ago. I don't know, bad. How much they gave that game away against Syracuse,
right.
And then really not seeming all that impressive against Florida Atlantic.
Right.
That it's just like, man, the world. Now we're starting this tough schedule, and we've struggled through a probably fairly average Syracuse team and a Conference USA Florida Atlantic team, like that you said, has had some bad losses already.
Right. All right. So
who knows? I mean, there's still a lot of time, and they did show. I mean, they showed that they've got potential. It showed. I mean, Penn State and the Syracuse game. I mean, they looked pretty good for a lot of times, and then they gave those games away.
Right.
That clean it up, and then we're looking a little different. But
right. I mean, Purdue should be sitting here 3-1 right now at the worst, maybe 4-0, but we're here and they're 2-2, so we got to live with it and keep moving forward. They can still have a really good year, maybe even a special year. But if they want to make Indianapolis, it starts on Saturday. They have to find a way to get it done, I think.
Yeah.
And I would wish for bad weather, but that doesn't help against Minnesota either. Last year it rained. 2018 it snowed. Those games didn't turn out well either.
I think Purdue needs perfect weather because they need O'Connell to be able to sling it.
You're right. You're 100% correct.
Purdue needs O'Connell to throw for 600 yards.
Yeah, they do. And I'm sure he'd like to get his stats back up. He was 5th in the nation in passing yards until Saturday. Now, Chuck Sizzle, Charlie Jones, his stats are still up there. So I see he's leading the country in targets without a drop at 53. So it's pretty good. Pretty good one. So
should show that Purdue can be. Hopefully, that leads to more recruiting success for high school and transfer wide receivers. That show look what Purdue's offense can do.
I know. Just put the thing of receptions for Big Ten team or in Big Ten through like 4 games. I think it's like Rondell Moore, Eric Decker, David Bell, and Charlie Jones. 3 Purdue guys and another guy, all NFL talent. So and Charlie should be next year too. So thanks, Coach Ferentz. Thank you. So before we wrap up our final thoughts, got to do our other sponsor read, which Evan did not send me, so this is coming off the cuff tonight, and that is The Shop. The Shop is a great shop located in Carmel and Broad Ripple, I believe. Is that right, Andrew?
Yep, at least 2, if not one more. At least those 2 for sure.
But definitely online at theshopindy.com, where you can use the promo code BREAKDOWN, all caps, for 25% off. I see we got an angry reaction on Facebook. For 25% off, use promo code BREAKDOWN. That's at theshopindy.com. They got plenty of great Purdue apparel. You can back the likes of Aiden O'Connell, Payne Durham. You can get some retro Purdue gear. You can get the Let's Play Football shirt that Andrew has. You can get the vintage Purdue Pete shirt that both Andrew and I have. You can get some drinkware that Evan has. Plenty of great Purdue merchandise, not only for football but for basketball season. Basketball practice started today, so Purdue basketball can't come soon enough for a lot of us. But also, if you're a fan of other colleges, Bulldogs, Hoosiers, Cardinals, etc., they have their T-shirts as well and apparel. Also, they have Indianapolis Colts, Indiana Pacers, Indy 500, concert venues, vintage bars. You name it, they probably got it if it's got to do with the state of Indiana. Go check them out at theshopindy.com. Use promo code BREAKDOWN for 25% off your order. And we are happy to have them back on board this year. Final thoughts, Andrew. Football, basketball, anything?
No, just hopefully we don't get to see PJ Fleck running up and down, clapping on the sidelines. If so, then I'll be muting. I'll probably have the game on mute anyway, but I might be turning it off.
He's going to have his vest on and his tie, and I see they're doing like color by color section, like maroon, gold. So it's one of those games, which is Purdue always seems to be part of those games. One thing I did want to bring up that I forgot, good crowd turnout Saturday night for homecoming. It was Purdue's 100th homecoming, first night game in homecoming history, and I thought the crowd turned out really well. So kudos to the crowd, especially the students who were there early, filled it up, and most of them were there till the very end. So Purdue's had great crowd and fan support the first 3 games of the year. Hopefully that continues the next 3. But, hopefully we can go up and in Minnesota and pull a top 25 upset and get this thing back on track and pull that plug on the boat and sink that boat so PJ can't row it. So let's boiler up, hammer down, and beat the Gophers.